one of the biggest problems is people falling for people really quickly.
Yes.
Falling in love too fast, where it's because they went on a couple of great dates with a guy and they can look at the date and go, he was amazing and you should have seen what he did and how he was on the date and all of that. And the thing I have to always break down is that may not have been about you.
Mm-hmm.
It is about something he wanted you to feel by the end of the date.
But tell me about your take on changing people. I wonder how much you get people saying, I'm with someone, I met someone, they have potential, I think I can change them.
There's a quote from, I think it's Jacob M. Broad, where he says, consider how hard it is to change yourself and you'll understand how foolish it is to think you can change somebody else. And that people should really let that sink in.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning of January, 60, 70, 80% of the world decides they want to get fit and healthy.
Yeah.
What percentage of those people get fit and healthy?
Yeah.
Those are people who want to change. They didn't make that resolution for nothing. They made it because they want that.
Yeah.
It's not someone saying to them, you should really lose weight, and them going, I'm fine. That's someone saying to themselves, I should really lose weight. And they still can't do it. Now, consider being in a relationship with someone who's not even admitting that they need to change and thinking that they're going to change. It's hard.
Yeah.
It would be on your behalf, and I'm not saying it would be wrong to trust someone when they say this, but it's still speculative if you or I are in a relationship and you say, Matt, I'm going to change. That's still speculative for me. You might.
Yeah.
It might be too hard.
Yeah.
But it might be worth me staying if we have a lot of love between us and you're saying I'm going to change, because I say, you know what? That's if you're really committed to this, then game on. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But in order for that to happen, you have to first acknowledge that there's something to be changed, and then show desire to change it, and frankly, to have any real credibility, show a plan for changing it.
Yeah.
When two people are in a relationship or two people break up and a woman comes to me and says, 2 weeks later he came back and he said he'll never, he wants me back and whatever, and he's not going to hurt me again. I always say an important question to ask is, why would it be different this time? Not from an emotion, not from a charged place, but a real curiosity. I get that you're telling me.
Yeah, has that person even thought about that part?
Right, 2 weeks later, which is a suspect time anyway, right? Because this is you're very much in the panic stage of, I'll say anything to get you back right now.
Yeah.
That's not considered, but fine, this is where we are. We're 2 weeks out from our breakup. You're telling me you want me back and you'll never hurt me again. I get you want me back. But what is it that's different this time? That's what I need to understand to feel safe to go down this road with you again. And so I think people can and do change, otherwise you and me would be out of a job. But change, if you are not the author of your own change, then the idea that your partner is somehow going to will you to change, it's like telling your partner, I want you to do therapy. Yeah. And them going, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go.
And that's the reason most people do go.
Right.
I find, at least from people that I speak to or work with, you hear that so often, that the number one reason people do go to therapy is because their partner kind of forced them into it and they kind of agreed to it.
And that's a problem, because you're hoping that they will see the value in it once they get there, and they might, but someone needs to have some skin in the game. And so I just think that here's what I will say, because there are so many people in relationships or in situationships, if you want to call them that, that are convincing themselves, they're conning themselves that somebody else is one day going to be different. And at that point, you have to say to yourself, on what basis have you decided this? What is it that this idea that some grand change is imminent, what is that based on?
Yeah.
Is it based on them having said to you, hey, I know that in these last few months or years or whatever, this has been a big problem in this relationship, and I know that's because of me. And this is something I am committed to changing.
Yeah.
Have they said that? Because if they haven't,
Yeah.
I have to ask, where is the logic here
Yeah.
underpinning your argument that they're one day going to change?
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't about them, that they're going to change, or that they've even expressed a desire or a willingness or a commitment to change. This is about your demons calling the shots.
Yeah.
This is about your fear of losing someone, because maybe they don't want to change. But what's really happening is you don't want to lose someone. You don't want to be on your own again. You don't want to take the risk that there's something else out there where you can get your needs met on a higher level. And then it becomes about exploring yourself and saying, well, this person's been this way for years and I've complained about it for years. So is this still about them? Can I really keep saying this is about them? I was making this video, and at the end of the video, a guy came over. It was like a 3-4 minute video. He came over and he said to me, "You've never been heartbroken, have you?"
Someone who's just watching, just a
He'd
random...
listened to the whole, I didn't know he was
Wow.
listening, but he was
Wow.
like in earshot the whole time. And he was like, "You've never been heartbroken, have you?" Now, 25-year-old know-it-all me, I was like, in my head, because out loud, I went, "No, I have, and yeah, I have. Yeah," and I like sort of shuffled on. In my head, I went, "Who do you think you are?"
Yeah.
Of course, I've like, what does this guy know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know so much more than me or whatever. He was right. I had never been truly, I'd had things that like hurt me.
Yeah, sure.
I'd never been like crushed.
Yeah.
And having had that experience in my life now, the video I make is very different. How I talk about that is extremely different.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I am aware that these things we're talking about here, it's very easy from a distance
100%.
to say to people, this person hasn't changed in a long time.
Yeah.
What makes you think they're going to change now? And why are you still there?
Yeah.
And the why you're still there is because this stuff is so hard. Change is so hard. Leaving a situation,
So...
it's changing anything is hard. Like, this is one of the things that I sort of, one of my gripes, I suppose, sometimes with some of the self-development rhetoric is that it makes things sound so much easier than they are, and it trivializes what are really difficult things. You know, most people, if they could just turn off their depression or their anxiety, if there was just a switch where they could go, they would do it.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible thing to feel. So the fact that they are feeling it must mean it's very difficult for them to not feel that.
Yeah.
And the same is true of a relationship. If someone has stayed in an unhappy situation for a long time, that must mean it is incredibly difficult for them internally to make peace with the idea of leaving. And what's happening, of course, is in this moment where it's evident to all of their friends and family that they should leave and that they should never look back, their abandonment issue that's been around their whole life is screaming at them.
Yeah.
Screaming, using any tactic it can to get them to stay. And when they were in the relationship, the tactic it used maybe was to go into people pleaser mode, and even though this person's not treating me right, I'm going to do anything I can to make them happy, make every compromise, make every sacrifice, bend over backwards, subjugate my own needs to try and serve you, all in order so that I can keep you.
Yeah.
And then at a point where you get so unhappy and you say, oh my God, this person's terrible. I've had to lose myself in this relationship to make them happy. I'm going to leave. Just at the point of leaving, just as your friends are like, thank the Lord, they did it.
Yeah.
They left. You go home that night and that abandonment demon realizes a different tactic has to be played. So it says, maybe they weren't so bad. Maybe like we're asking for too much. Maybe like, you know, they did have really great qualities, didn't they? I mean, they were loyal, and they're a lovely person a lot of the time, and they're this and they're that, and that voice starts using a different tactic with you, because the only thing that voice wants is don't be abandoned.
Yeah.
And it'll do anything in its power to reach that goal. It will ruin your life to achieve that goal, because it only has one goal, and the goal is not make you happy. The goal is make sure you're not abandoned.
Yeah.
And so this stuff is so difficult, and it's why people should, that in those moments, if anyone is listening to this, and if you're listening to this and you're in an unhappy situation, I get it. I get how hard it is. And taking the time to really say, one of the things that can help is to say, this demon would come out with another person too. So it's not really about this person. To that extent, at least, I can depersonalize this and go, it's not really about losing this person. It's just about losing a person. Yeah. And I can carry this demon with me to the next one and the next one and the next one. So, but I think people should be compassionate to themselves, but if they're struggling to end something difficult, but extend that compassion to your future self.
Yeah.